Yo, good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? This is your Coach Renz, and I watch this show called Timeless. And if anybody who knows me, they know that I love anything that got to do with time travel and probability. Now, before we go there, I want to thank all my patrons for supporting me on Patreon. If you're not a supporter there, please go over to Patreon. And I want to thank everybody on YouTube for subscribing to my channel. And if you're over on Facebook and you're watching this, hey, come on over to YouTube. And even if you keep watching on Facebook, just subscribe on YouTube. I appreciate it. It helps the channel. Now, this show Timeless, I'm not going to give you a whole rundown on the show, but basically, you got people time traveling, one group trying to save history, another group trying to change history. I'll get into more of that about what they're doing in that show in some other videos, as it'll help to explain some of the key factors and thoughts to make this world better, but more importantly, to make you better. One of the things I realize about time travel, and I love the idea of time travel, is that I often contemplate what would have happened if World War II had not happened? What would have happened if World War I would not have happened? World War I could have not have happened through the simple process of the French not supporting the Americans during the Revolutionary War. Then the French monarchy would have lasted longer, and Napoleon would have never came into power. Therefore, World War I doesn't happen. Without World War I, you more than likely don't get World War II either. There's a lot of different alternate histories. There's a lot of different ways it could have went, could have still happened. But how many people, how many lives would have been saved without those wars? How many people would have invented things? How many people would have inspired different outcomes in our world if certain people would have lived? If Hitler never comes to power, how does that change the face of Germany, change the face of the world? Does America become a world power, or does it not? If America wasn't supported by the French, America never becomes a world power. It remains a British colony. America remains a British colony. Slaves are freed sooner, and the Africans and American slaves are freed sooner. Then how many slaves don't die that could have been another Frederick Douglass or another Carver? How many could have done other great things if that had never happened? If American slavery had never happened in the first place, and African colonization had never happened in the first place, how would the world look today? How many other leaders would have come up? On the same token, you can say how many negative people would have came up. We may not have gotten Hitler, but we may have gotten something far worse. We may not have gotten Mussolini, but we may have gotten something far worse. So there's always two sides of that story, but you always have to ask the question, if in the 60s and the 70s and the 50s, if certain black people hadn't been lynched, what would they have gone on to do? Would they have changed the fabric of the universe? You see, we go about our day thinking about holding other people down. Some of us, we think about how we hold other people down, or how we don't pay attention and we allow people to be held down. When we allow these negative things to happen, we're just as bad as the people who created it and who caused it. This message is more about living and let living, allowing people to fulfill their potential. Who are we or anyone else to determine who lives and who dies? Who has the opportunity to go to school and who has the opportunity not to? Who can go and become this or become that? Who should start this business and who should not? Who should get the grant to do the research and who should not? We handicap our own future by trying to determine what is the potential of a person based on tests, based on the color of their skin, based on their gender, based on where they grew up, and what kind of family they came out of. How many people in the Roman Empire would have been more successful, would have made the Roman Empire last even longer if they didn't live in a caste system? How many people in India would have become great if they didn't live in a caste system? If the Japanese didn't conquer the Chinese and then treat them like dogs, how many great Chinese people were lost because people saw a difference in nationality, culture? How many Native Americans did we lose? How many great people? I think we lost more great people than we lost negative people. I think we still continue to lose more great people than negative people. How many kids are in poverty-stricken areas who don't have the opportunity to take the math classes, to take the science classes, They don't have the opportunity to take the history classes. They don't have the opportunity to take the AP courses. How many of them are being lost simply because they was born into poverty? They were born into a school system that doesn't allow for them to expand and explore their mind. We lose this all the time. And the only reason we lose it is because we choose to lose it. As humans, we choose to lose it because we choose to hold on to race. We choose to hold on to gender. We choose to hold on to nationalities. We hold on to all these different things that separate us and all these different things that label us, things that put us in a category that we've only created for ourselves. These perspectives are only something we've created. It's nothing that was created by any entity beyond ourselves. We created them. We created religion. And we use religion as an excuse to maim and murder. We use religion as an excuse to treat you like an outsider. We use religion as an excuse to ignore your potential and your possibilities. We use it in the name of God to shut down the minds of other people, to control other people, to determine who's worthy and who's not. How many people in the Salem witch hunt died? 22 people. Who knows what those 22 people would have done in Salem? There were other witch hunts in other areas. How many of them were hanged and burned at the stake? How many geniuses did we lose? How many scientists did we lose? How many great authors and poets did we lose? How many great mothers? How many would have birthed a child whose great-grandchild or great-great-great-grandchild would have gone on and created something to save this planet? You'll never know. Why? Because your religion said that if they don't do it the way that you do it, that they're evil, that they're satanic, that they're, condemned, and it's your right, your duty to take their life, You don't even know if you're hurting yourself in that. The very person that some Muslim, that some Buddhist, that some Christian, that some Jew, that some whatever religion is casting someone to the side, downgrading them, mishandling them, whether they're outside your religion or even inside your religion, which is actually worse. How many of those people every day are being suppressed and oppressed simply because either you want to hold them into your grasp or you want to cast them away because they're not part of you? We do this in religion, we do this in gender, race, nationality, and all these different things. And what I'm telling you, what I'm saying to you, world, is that we got to live and let live. That if a person chooses to be whatever a person chooses to be, that if a person decides whatever labels they want to put on themselves, that it's okay, that it doesn't harm you nor hurt you, as long as it doesn't take away from your liberty, as long as it doesn't interfere with your rights, then it's okay. I'll even say it to a person who's a white supremacist. If you want to walk around believing that just because you're white, that makes you superior, but as long as you don't hurt somebody, as long as you don't physically take away from somebody, as long as you don't block someone else's opportunity to advance in this world, as long as you keep that to yourself, within yourself, as long as you don't allow that to hurt someone else mentally, physically, and emotionally and spiritually, then you're fine. If you are a black racist and you feel that your melanin makes you more superior than someone else, but you don't trample on someone else's rights, you don't go and segregate yourself to the point where you're hurting other people, you don't go and you hinder another person's ability to grow, to have family, for the pursuit of happiness, you go right on ahead. You're Christian, you're Muslim, you're Jew, if you're an American, you're a Russian, you're British, you're a South African, whatever you are, if you're a nationality, whatever labels you put on yourself, as long as you're not hurting somebody else, as long as you're not infringing on someone else's right, as long as you're fair, I have no problem with you. And neither should anybody else in this world. Shouldn't have any problems with you. It's when you try to stop somebody. Now, I want you guys to walk with me and imagine a world. Imagine a place, a time, where we just live and let live. Where if a person says that they want to walk into the woods and talk to the trees and talk to the birds, that's okay. That's their choice. That's how they commune. If that's how they get in touch with their inner God and goddess, that's fine. If them talking to the tree, talking to the birds, allows them to see a better way that we can take care of the world, take care of the land, the air. If they're walking through the woods, talking to the trees, talking to the birds, and they figure out a way to utilize nature as a medicine to heal a sick person, who are we to decide that they can't do it? I know there's greed and money, and there are people out there who'll do anything for it. Homeopathic, natural healing doctors get murdered, suspiciously dead, come up dead every year. Most people don't care. And why do we not care? It's because our attention span is that long. It's that long. It's that long. Stephen got killed. People aren't talking about it anymore. Moved on. Joel Osteen didn't want to let people into his church. People forgot all about it. Ray Lewis talked trash about Kaepernick and Mike Vick. People moved on. Forgot all about it. What 45 did a year ago, people ain't talking about that no more. They're talking about what he's doing now. We forget what happens real quick. We'll let something go real quick. H&M, back in the store shopping, ain't missed a beat. People forget real quick what happened. Attention span is real short. That short attention span is why the world keeps going the way it is. It's why we can't get past racism, sexism, and all other type of isms. It's simply because our attention span is so short, and we're only focused on what's in front of us right now, and we're only focused on, I need to be right about what I think, what I believe, how I live my life. I need to be correct. I need to believe that the way I think is the right way to think. The way I've been, and here's the thing about it, most of you, most people, you don't think for yourself anyway. If you think about it, if you're really honest, you're not thinking for yourself. Somebody's thinking for you. Your parents, they thought for you. Your teachers, they thought for you. Your priests, pastors, ministers, imams, whatever, they thought for you. Your government, they thought for you. Your history teachers, they thought for you. All these people thought for you because they told you what the history is. They told you what the societal norms are. They told you who God is and who God's not. They told you all these things. They told you how to make money. They told you how not to make money. They told you how to be successful and how not to be successful. They told you everything because they raised you in a condition. People like to say they were raised, but I have to stop saying that because most people, they're not raised, they're dragged up. They're dragged up because they're pulled along and they didn't ask to go. They didn't ask to become that. No child, no baby asked to become a Republican or a Democrat. They learned it. They learned it. No child, no baby asked for their religion. It was forced on them and given to them. No child or baby asked for their nationality. It was forced and given to them. No one of them asked for their race. It was forced and given to them. Everything a baby has is forced and given to them. And then at some point, we believe that we made a choice. We made our own choice. No, we didn't. 99% of the people never made a choice. You are your environment. You are your environment. Make a choice. Decide. Just decide. If the world just decided that it was going to be a better place, if the world just decided that no one was going to go hungry, if the world just decided that no one was not going to have the opportunity to become the greatest version of themselves, if the world just decided that we're not going to have war anymore, if the world just decided that we're not going to have famine anymore, if the world decided that we're going to not pollute the environment anymore, if the world came to a consciousness of decision to say that no more will we hold another person down simply because they look differently than we do, they act differently than we do, they speak differently than we do, their skin tone is different than what ours are. If the world just said that they believe in a different type, a different version of God, of creator, or no creator at all, that we're not going to hold them down because of that. If the world came to that mindset, what kind of future would we create? What kind of world would we create? I can tell you, it'd be heaven, man. It'd be heaven on earth. It'd be heaven on earth. because everybody would then be able to pursue their own happiness however they define it. Everybody will be able to pursue their own success however they define it. Not everyone will aspire to own a big business and to be wealthy. Most people just want to work at a place that they enjoy, have fun and raise a family, enjoy life, praise whatever God they want to praise, and just do life how they want to do it. Most people will follow that pathway of success, and most people will be happy, and the world will be a much better place. All we have to do is decide. Just decide. And I believe we can. I believe we can. Some people are going to say in comments that that's impossible. People have greed, people have all this. Yes, they do. They do, but we allow it to continue. Just because there's negativity does not mean we can't swing the pendulum to the right, that we can't vibrate at a higher consciousness, that we can't increase our frequency or change our frequency and increase our vibration so that we move to the right side of the polarity scale. There's nothing saying that we can't do it. Yes, there will always be those who will not, those who will refuse. But if the majority of the planet is of like mind, then the few won't be able to overwhelm the majority. The reason why the ant is successful is because the majority is working in unison. The reason why the beehive is successful is because the majority is working in unison. Even the lion rolls with a pride that is working in unison, coordinated. Those who work in unison, those who work coordinated, those who work together, those who work of like mind are the ones who dominate, who are successful. It is not the strong that survive. It is the ones that adapt to change that survive. And if the world begins to change its consciousness, then those who adapt to that change will survive. Those who recognize and know that it's safe for them to change, we will survive, and we will survive greatly. We will achieve things that no one else has ever achieved. This planet is overpopulated. At some point, we have to go out there, or we have to go down there. At some point, we have to find other places to live, other energies. At some point, we have to find new energy sources. At some point, we have to figure out how to change our farming. At some point, we have to change. We have to adapt. If we don't, disease and war will ravage this planet. I, for one, would not like to see that. And we can avoid it. We have to change the consciousness of the world. And I refuse to believe that it can't be done. I refuse to believe that it can't be done. I believe we can do it. I know we can do it. It's not a belief. It's something that I know. All it takes is brave men and women to stand up. Brave people, brave humans, brave beings, just to stand up. Just stand up and say that I'm not going to think that way no more. I'm not going to act that way no more. I'm not going to be that way no more. If it became a pariah of society to be racist, to be sexist, to be overly patriotic, if it became a pariah of the world to become that person, to be standing as one of those people, then no one would want to do it, and no one would raise children to be it. We wouldn't have it. It would be such a small number of people that it wouldn't even matter. Trust and believe. I may not be able to time travel, but in my mind I can. I understand the law of cause and effect, the law of causation. And if that's our cause, then the effect, it may take a generation, it may take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 generations. But what I do know is it's possible. I do know in the future I can see it. It just takes more and more of us becoming it. So you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable.